I want to tell you about a couple that I've seen recently. I have these two clients, husband and wife, that came to me after they've been married for about 5 years, and they basically say that they're completely incompatible. They each have their own way of viewing the world. This one wants to parent in one way, the other one wants to parent in another way. This one drives one way, the other one drives the other way. They find no area where they agree on anything. And each one has they're fighting, they're at each other's throats all the time, and they feel that this is their last chance to save their marriage. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, it's not possible for people to be that different, is it? Right? There must be some kind of commonalities. But when they started sharing, and I could see that what they were really trying to get at, what was at the core of their pain, was that they both felt that the other one was trying to change them and trying to make them fit the mold of what they thought was appropriate. And they both just wanted to be accepted as they are. And I think this is so interesting. This is so similar for a lot of us. A lot of us go into marriage thinking, I have this and this and this. I'm going to definitely change it in him. Or he's thinking, oh, she's going to grow out of this phase. Or, once she has children, she's not going to want to go to work anymore. And we have all these thoughts of, how's time going to change us? And I think it's going to work in a certain specific way. So if we look at the Maharal says about man and woman, Ra'ui sheyu nifradim kol echad levado. It would be appropriate to leave each one alone. That each one should be separate, man and woman. The Hashem Yitbarach hu mechaber otam liot echad. And Hashem, He's the one who joins us together to become one. So what's this talking about? When I read this Maharal, I always think of I get this image in my head of the entire world. You put men on one side, put the women on the other side, put a giant mechitza down the middle, and we'll all live happily ever after. Because what does a man and a woman want with each other? They're contradictory elements, right? It's like oil and water. They have nothing to do with each other. Give me a nice friend and I'll be able to build society. We'll be able to chat. We're not going to get on each other's nerves. She'll understand me. She'll accept me as I am. What is it about man and woman that Hashem says, even though it's almost impossible that they should come together, doesn't seem any logical reason for them to come together other than obviously procreation. It seems almost cruel to create two beings that are so intrinsically different from each other, and you give them the mighty task of becoming one. And it seems to be the most unnatural of partnerships. And yet Hashem created within us the taiva, the desire to be together. We want to be together. We always dream about the prince that's going to sweep us off our feet, or he dreams of his Eshet Chayil that's going to help him to build a beautiful home and a beautiful family filled with Torah and mitzvot, or whatever it is that we've dreamed of. And the reality is, even if you find someone who you say, oh my gosh, he's finishing my sentences, he knows exactly what I like, he can intuit exactly what gift to buy me and what's my favorite flowers, and he knows me. Believe me, once you get married, you're going to find that he doesn't know you that well, that there are intrinsic differences between the two of you, and these are very important differences. The question is, what do we do with these differences? How do we approach them? The idea of becoming one, that Hashem is the one who takes these two different beings and causes them to become one. What's this idea of oneness? What we get confused with, and Rabbi David Aaron speaks about this in his wonderful books, that's definitely on the reading list. I'll put some links down below, please God, that we confuse oneness with sameness. We think that in order to be one, we need to think the same way, we need to act the same way, we need to become the same person. almost. And when we try to do this, that's when it really gets on our nerves that the other person isn't like me. It's very easy when we see my husband, he is, he's on the same page with me when it comes to parenting. Wow, I love my husband. But what am I really saying? I'm saying I recognize that he has the same likes as me. So that's really just reinforcing my own thoughts and beliefs. And so I really like that. So it's a form of self-love, of self-worship in a way, right? When I love my husband for being the same as me, I'm just getting validation about me. So it's nothing to do with my husband, it's more about me. However, when my husband has different ideas about parenting, different ideas about how to spend money, different ideas about what Shabbat's table should look like and should feel like, and suddenly it bothers me and I'm feeling really worked up now because I have my own opinions and I have my own beliefs about how this should be. Maybe it was different in my home, and I want it to be the same as my home, or perhaps he wants what I had and I actually want something completely different. But either way, it's going to grate against me and I'm going to want something different. So what do we do in these situations? The answer is that there's no specific answer. However, each one rejecting the other person's opinions and beliefs and trying to convince them, if only I can argue enough, maybe if I shout loud enough, maybe if I just keep, maybe the silent treatment will work, or maybe I'll just send WhatsApps all day long until he finally gets onto my side, or he figures out that it might just be easier to give in. Happy wife, happy life. Maybe then we'll all be okay. That's all I need to do, is convince him to think like me, to believe in the same things as me, and to act like me. And then we will be a happy unit. The reality is that no, we really, really won't. And no, you won't. Because what happens is if each one has to minimize themselves in order to be part of this unit that we're making, then each one is small. Each one is suppressing elements within themselves that are very worthy of being expressed, very worthy of being solid parts of the unit that you create. And while husband or wife might agree with some things for Shalom Bayit, there's going to reach a stage where they're going to say, please, or they're not going to say it because they're too scared to say it at this point, please just accept me as I am. And that is really the goal of marriage. That is the goal of the unity, this oneness that we're trying to create, is accept me as I am. Don't come into this marriage with preconceived notions of how you are going to mold me and shape me. Accept me as I am, with all of my faults, with all of my quirkiness, with all of my craziness. Just accept me as I am. If I'm feeling emotional, allow me to be emotional. I'm allowed to have my emotions. If your husband wants certain things some ways, allow him to have it that way, even if it wasn't necessarily the way you thought it would be. Obviously, we're not talking about very serious situations where, one really wants to parent or, let's say, punish the child in one way and the other one is against that type of punishment or consequences. Those are real issues that need to sit down with a third party that both respect and to come to an agreement that probably neither will be completely happy with, but which they agree to for the sake of the oneness of the whole that they're creating. But other than that, there's no reason to squash the other person. What we want to do is be raising up the other person. We want to be seeing and loving the differences. I always say, you're going to get married, and the next day, after I've told them everything about the wedding, and then we talk about, you move into your apartment or into your house, and the next day, what do you see? Is that he's leaving his socks on the floor and the toilet seat is up, and you suddenly think, oh my gosh, he's different to me. That's when you suddenly realize he's a real man and I'm a real woman. We're different. And I always say that is the opportunity to stop loving yourself alone. Of course, you must love yourself, but to start loving the other person for who they really are, not for who you think they are, who you wanted them to be, who you think you can make them, but who they are right here, right now. You open your arms and you say, I accept you as you are, with all of your faults, with all of your beautiful traits, and with all of your personality, the bits that I love and the bits I can't stand. I'm going to accept you as you are. And I promise you, there is no greater feeling in the world for somebody to love you in that way and to accept you in that way. And there's no greater gift that you can give to your spouse than to endeavor in all situations to say, how can I be accommodating? Can I hold and make space for my spouse the way that they are? Don't forget to subscribe down below and hit the bell for notifications. You can also catch me on Instagram. If you are new to this channel, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to say hello to you and welcome you to our community.